Welcome to Mind Awakening TV, where we explore thought-provoking insights, expand your mind, and challenge the way you see the world. If you're ready to open your mind and unlock new perspectives, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and awaken the power within. Once upon a time, in a quiet suburban neighborhood surrounded by tall, leafy oaks, lived a pair of siblings, Elena and Lucas. Though they shared the same home, the same loving parents, and the same sun-dappled backyard, there was one crucial difference between them: the way they saw themselves and the world. Elena approached life with a thirst to learn. She saw new challenges as opportunities, an invitation to grow. To her, a mistake was nothing more than a stepping stone. Lucas, her twin brother by only 3 minutes, was just as bright and capable. Yet he often hesitated, holding back when he worried he might not get something right the first time. Deep down, Lucas saw abilities as something fixed. Either you had them or you didn't, and each setback felt like proof of his limitations. Their parents encouraged both children, always emphasizing effort over outcome. Still, each sibling's beliefs guided the way they navigated the world. That's how, one sunny Saturday morning, their story unfolded into what the family would later call the twin test, a lesson about the power of mindset that would shape the rest of their lives. It began with a simple challenge. Their school announced a region-wide contest: build a model bridge from household items, strong enough to hold a stack of books. The catch? No help from parents, no fancy kits. Just imagination, resourcefulness, and a willingness to try. Elena's eyes sparkled with anticipation. Lucas, on the other hand, felt a pit form in his stomach. As the weekend ticked forward, both siblings gathered their supplies: cardboard boxes, wooden popsicle sticks, plastic utensils, and rolls of tape formed small mountains in their respective workspaces. Elena started sketching ideas, humming to herself and bouncing from concept to concept. Her first attempt buckled under a single book. Undeterred, she jotted down observations with a grin, brewed a new plan, and tried again. Lucas watched from the corner. He spent hours planning, erasing, measuring, and starting over, without actually building. The fear of failure, of making mistakes, pressed down on him. He reasoned, if I don't try, I can't fail. If I do try and mess up, what will Elena think? What will my teachers think? The pressure to be perfect kept his bridge in the blueprint phase. After dinner, Elena invited Lucas to see her creations. "Look!" she beamed, holding up a bridge that had survived 3 books before collapsing. "This time, the base snapped, but I think if I reinforce it here, it'll hold more weight." Lucas stared at her pile of failed bridges. "Doesn't it bother you to keep failing?" he asked quietly. She laughed. "I don't see it as failing. Each time I'm figuring out what works. I'm getting closer." The next morning, with the submission deadline looming, Lucas finally built his first bridge. The structure trembled beneath the first book and collapsed. Anger burned in his chest. Without thinking, he swept his supplies off the table, frustrated at wasting all that time on a bridge that couldn't stand. Their mom noticed his distress and sat beside him, her voice gentle. "You did your best, Lucas. Now you know what doesn't work. Every inventor and scientist builds many models before finding the right solution. Do you want to try again?" Lucas looked away, defeated. "I'm just not good at this. Elena gets it, I don't." Later, as he watched his sister tinker cheerfully, something shifted. He saw Elena making mistakes, sometimes the same ones he made, but she didn't treat them as evidence of failure. Instead, she saw them as lessons. That afternoon, Lucas tried again. This time, when his structure wobbled, he asked Elena for advice, and she shared what she'd learned from her own setbacks. Slowly, Lucas's spirits brightened. He realized that every mistake taught him something different: how to reinforce a joint, where to add extra support, why certain materials held up better. With every attempt, his frustration lessened, and his curiosity grew. On the day of the contest, both twins submitted bridges. Neither held the most books. In fact, a student from another school won the top prize. But something far more important had taken root. In the weeks that followed, their teacher, Ms. Rivera, noticed the shift. Elena, as always, bounced back from challenges with optimism. Lucas became bolder. When an experiment flopped in science class, he no longer shrank into his chair. Instead, he openly discussed what he learned and plotted ways to improve. His fear of failure faded, replaced by an eagerness to learn. Through the twin test, the siblings learned that intelligence isn't set in stone. Talent and skill can be developed step by step with effort and openness to learning. Elena's mindset, the belief that abilities can grow, gave her resilience and joy. She saw each setback as temporary and valuable. Lucas's transformation came when he realized that his abilities were not limited, and that with every mistake, he could grow stronger, wiser, and more creative. This difference in belief, the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset, shapes not only grades and prizes, but lifelong success and happiness. When we believe that our abilities can develop, every challenge becomes a chance to improve, and failure is nothing more than feedback. But when we see our talents as fixed, we shy away from risks, avoid new challenges, and let setbacks define us. Research underscores this lesson. Psychologist Carol Dweck and her colleagues found that students with a growth mindset tackle harder problems and show greater improvement across subjects. They're more resilient against obstacles, more likely to seek help, and more motivated to keep going when things get tough. It's not just about academic achievement. It's about cultivating a lifelong love of learning, the courage to try, and the wisdom to learn from every experience. Belief shapes behavior. What we tell ourselves, whether we say, "I can't do this" or "I can't do this yet," determines the actions we take, the risks we accept, and the dreams we allow ourselves to pursue. The story of Elena and Lucas reminds us, we all face setbacks, stumbles, and failures, but these moments don't define us unless we let them. If you find yourself, like Lucas, held back by the fear of not being enough, remember, your mind is a muscle that grows with use. Embrace each challenge as a teacher. See every stumble as a step. And know that your belief in yourself is the single most powerful tool you have to shape your future. The next time you come across an obstacle, ask yourself not, "Am I smart enough?" but, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow?" The answer might just unlock a world of possibility. And as for Elena and Lucas, they still build and create, sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing. But now, they laugh together through every step of the journey, knowing that it's the learning, not the winning, that truly matters. Thank you for watching this episode of Mind Awakening TV. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an awakening moment. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue the conversation. Stay curious and keep expanding your mind.